Revelation chapter 21, verse 18. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Shalom Yasharala, peace Israel. Call Halayim La, Alahayanawa, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. All praise to our power, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. Double honor to our apostles and elders, great millstone. Peace and blessing to the elect of Israel, Shalom. Job chapter 36, verse 7. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they on the throne. Yeah, he doth establish them forever, and they are exalted. Psalms chapter 122 and verse 4. Beginning at verse 3. Jerusalem is built as a city that's compact together. Whether the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, unto the testimony of Israel, to give thanks unto the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But there are set thrones of judgment, the thrones of the house of David. This is a big thing, man, because we are a part of power that we can't fully comprehend right now. We are a part of something that's beyond this world, beyond this earthly realm, but it's going to be established on this earthly realm, on this earth. Okay? Because as it tells us in the Lord's Prayer, on earth as it is in heaven. Yes, our kingdom will be on the earth, but the order, the prestige and the honor, the majesty, but beginning with the order, that's coming from the heavens. And along with that, the glory. Okay? So what we're a part of is well worth it, man. Okay? It's more than worth it.
Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. If then God so clothed the grass which is today in the field and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not ye what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
Powerfully vicious.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, whom rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutation to the whole elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua. Pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the whole elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Al-Shah. And what I want to get into this morning, all right, well, this evening, Salakia, I be, days start running together, but what I want to get into tonight, all right, is something I was listening to today. I was out and about, just listening to different, documentaries and going into history and different things. And I ran across something pretty interesting from this one guy, and he was pretty much going into, ancient Egypt, and Exodus, and what was going on during that time, and some good insight, So we'll get a few precepts, to start the lesson off with, and then, we'll go into the video, and then, we'll flow in the spirit, from there, But it's always good, to get, thorough understanding of particular histories and backdrops of the scriptures. It make, precepts, kind of pop, jump off the page, because we come into a time where the Lord, okay, is finna mock the earth for judgment. Okay, he's finna make mockery of this current society with his judgment, So for brother, see brother Corner Waff is on. So for brother Could, I need 3 precepts to start it off while I get this video ready. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 11, and let's get Psalms 46 and 10. And now let's get Exodus 12 and 12. Make sure that's it, Exodus 12 and 12. And we'll go into the video. Then we'll roll from there, Lord's will. Make sure that Exodus is right. Let's get Exodus 12, verse 11 and 12. We're reading to it, So I'm going to cue this video up, Baba Kashaf, for brother can get that, So let's start here. It's a 40-minute video, pretty good, video going into the history, dealing with the Egyptian dynasties, and how it coincided, with the sons of God, dealing from Abraham on up, but mainly goes into Egypt, pretty interesting facts. So I put it in the comment board, for you brothers. All right, even some of you sisters that's, interested into, history. All right. Well, it's about a 40-minute video on the guy channel. This is my first time watching the video, but he's thorough to the point, like he's a and he's one of them, I don't know if he's a pastor, I haven't researched the guy too much, but the channel is let's see, study of antiquity in the Middle Ages, and as they seem like you got some pretty good content, for brothers, that's interested into that. It seems like he has some pretty good historical content, and like I said, he's not, biased, because a lot of these historians, they have an atheist perspective, and they make light of, the Most High's role within history, certain events, they try to gloss over it, and they put more emphasis on the characters, but he pretty much, he doesn't gloss over, what, the Lord did in certain, empires, so, and this from this video, like I said, I watched one video by the guy, I plan to watch more, and we'll go from there, we might find something, but, go ahead, share the screen. All right, so let's get the precept the brother put up, the water brother. All right, this is the brother GMS Perry, always hope for elect, the brother Corner Waff. Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 11 says, therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of the Most High, which is Israel, they are become an abomination, and a stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and the snare to the feet of the unwise. And see, the Lord is finna do away with all idolatry. There will be no idolatry in the kingdom. Okay, there will be no other gods worship in the kingdom. You see, Yahweh Bashim Al Shai is finna reveal that there's only one true power. You know, all this multiple gods, okay, polytheism, you know, all the different, gods that these heathens worship, have been worshiping for thousands of years. Like, oh, that's going to be done away with. When the Lord visits this place with judgment, he's going to show that there's no other power but him. Okay, and we come to a time when the Lord is going to showcase that in the earth. All right, and Tawali Al Bashim Al Shah for allowing us to be ahead of the curve, and understand that there's only one true power. All right, and he has a son, all right, Yahweh Shai, who's worthy to be praised. You see? So we read this in the book of Psalm 46 and 10. All right, the brother GMS pray always hope for elect. It says, "Be still and know that I am the Most High. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth." You see? The Lord is going to be exalted among the heathen. He's going to be reverenced among the heathen through this judgment. Okay? He's going to showcase it. There's no Allah. Okay? And no Jesus Christ. And, no. All right? It's the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and it's his son, Yahweh Shai. All right? That's it. You see? And that's going to be showcased in the earth. Verse 11, the Lord of hosts, all right, is with us. The power of Jacob is our refuge. And see, in the midst of this judgment, the remnant, okay, are going to be protected, okay, and ultimately delivered. You see, and when if there's going to be a standard lifted before the deliverance, and the Lord is going to show, all right, what people he's with in the earth. Okay, the Lord is going to show that there's one power, all right, and there's one chosen people. All that's going to be understood, and we'll get into that. Now, what I want to get into, all right, we'll get this and we'll go into the video. This is Exodus 12 and 11, all right, and it says, "And thus shall ye eat." Now, it's, spiritual. We just came out of the Passover to eat the feast of unleavened bread, okay, and when you go into verse 11, and you read it, it says, "And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded," speaking of the Passover, the lamb, and it says, "Your shoes on your feet and your staff, all right, in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste, is the Lord's Passover." And see, this represents a mindset, your loins girded, all right, even Yahweh Shai, say, let your loins be girded, loins of your mind be girded. Okay, this is speaking of a mindset ready to go. Your shoes on, okay, because we in the urgent time, and we in the time now. Well, hey, we gotta have to be ready to move, because the staff, our people will use a staff, as they travel, will help them, their posture, different things when they walk. It had multiple uses, but one of it was posture, and it says, "And ye shall eat in haste, it is the Lord's Passover." All right, because what was the Lord getting ready to do? "For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn of the land of Egypt, both man and beast." Okay, "and against, all right, all the gods of Egypt will I execute judgment. I am the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al Shai." And it says, against all the gods of Egypt. So everything that Egypt worship, we're finna see as he makes, the comparison of the plagues and the gods that Egypt worship. All right, which I had did a series on Exodus on one of my old channels. We had went all the way from Exodus 1 through 12. Okay, but that channel was clipped, the original GMS Kingdom Minded, with all those videos on there. I should have, archived them, but hey, we still touch on these things. All right, but so we're gonna go into it, and we're gonna see how the Most High made mockery of the empire of Egypt, just like he's going to make a mockery of this current empire, all right, of Esau, Edom, mainly America, which is spiritual Egypt. Okay.
Speculative. I'm not convinced of it personally, but there have been some who've suggested that. For the most part, however, the polytheistic religion of Egypt involved these animal-shaped gods that come in a variety of shapes and sizes, and they represent, generally speaking, the natural order of things. They also worship the Red Sea because, of course, it was the lifeline of the Egyptians, and so it was viewed as a kind of divine character. And there were others that had a sort of animal shape to them that were worshipped. This, again, becomes part of the backdrop for the Exodus story, because if you know what goes on there, many of the plagues, not all of them, but many of them, in a sense, appear to be poking fun at the Egyptian gods, you know. What is the first plague, for example, that takes place in the Exodus story? The first plague is... Come on, you folks that were in Exodus last, you were supposed to remember this. Remember that? It's all there. What was the first plague? It turned the Nile River into blood. Here's the lifeline of the Egyptians. They virtually worship the Nile, and all of a sudden the Nile seems to be attacking them. It's the source of life, and yet now it becomes the stench of death. And right off the bat, their first god is failing them, and in fact, it appears to be attacking them, you know. The second plague is frogs. Very good. Because you know that when the water turns to blood, or any kind of whatever it turned into, it was either blood or a blood-appearing kind of...
Recordings just got better. It's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce that local
substance there, fish die. But frogs, they're smarter, they're amphibians, they just hop out of the Nile. And so the text actually says the frogs came out of the Nile. I don't blame them, you know. And they head into the land of Egypt, escaping the Nile. What's interesting is the Egyptians had a frog god. And so now it's like the second of their deities is attacking them, you know. And they've got frogs in the stew, they got frogs in the bed, they got frogs here, frogs there. And this great parody on their idolatry is being sort of suggested then by that second plague. The next couple of plagues are insect plagues, you know. What's the natural predator of insects? Frogs. The frogs die. You know, this is kind of ecologic.
So you see how the plagues, you know, was tied together. You know, once the river was turned into blood, which caused the frogs to come out of the river, you know, and there was a major attack on the pretty much the essential, life source of Egypt, you know, because you had the fish, which was a food source, the water, you know, which was a source of a nurturing. You know, you had the water, you know, that they would use, you know, for vegetation, the water to drink, you know, the water, you know, beer was a thing, you know, in ancient Egypt, you know, but it took water to make those things. Okay, so there was a major attack, and then it causes what? The frogs to come out. So now you have a plague of frogs. And when the frogs was out, what's the natural? Okay, what do frogs do, man? They keep down, you know, pests. See, each thing works for the good of another. And when one thing is thrown out of whack, everything gets thrown out of whack. You know, if a brother can post it in Sirach, how one thing worked for the good of another, and also if a brother can post it in 2nd Ezra 15, all right, because of lack of bread, it should be 2nd Ezra 15. Get straight to the point. Yeah, this is second Esdras. Yeah. Yeah, second Esdras 15 and 19. We will get straight to the point, and then we'll get that in Sirach. Okay. But it was a trickle effect. Just like today, that's why we say like it's one event that can have a trickle effect. They can just cause more and more plagues and different events, to happen. Let me see. Yeah, this is Sirach 42 and 25. Sirach 42 and 25. Yeah. Which I read it, real quick. It says something there. This is Sirach 42 and 25. It says, one thing establish the good of another, and who shall be filled with beholding his glory? It says, one thing establish the good of another. You see, the ecosystem is set up, where one thing establish, the good of another. And when one thing is thrown off, everything can become thrown off. That's why the earth is out of whack now, because everything is thrown off under the rulership of Esau. Okay? But the Lord is going to, he's going to cause events to happen in the earth, okay, that's going to have a ripple effect. All right? Just like when you read second Esdras 15 and 19, it's the brother GMS must endure 144K by. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their house with the sword, and shall spoil their good because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. See, it's going to get extremely violent because of lack of resources. Violence is just not going to erupt out of nowhere. Okay? It's going to be a lack of food. Okay? Then it's going to be a plague of violence. Okay? Then it's going to be just all out, go for what you know. All right? So we're seeing this in Egypt. Like one thing happened, it was just a trickle effect, and the Lord was mocking, the guys of Egypt. All right? So I'm going to let it play some more. And also, brothers can get that, I think 2 15 and 10, and how we'll play Egypt as before. Okay? So I'm going to let this play.
With the death of the natural predator, in you get these kind of insect creatures. And one of the Egyptian gods was, in fact, a sort of beetle god that was sometimes portrayed in Egyptian imagery and so on. This is kind of ugly, if you ask me, but the ruler was actually pictured as if he had a beetle for a head. This beetle is called Khepri, and it was worshipped. But of course, it may have been one of the plagues. One of the plagues is called flies, but some Old Testament scholars believe the word that's used for fly there is generic enough that it may actually refer to this particular beetle, and that may have been one of the plagues. The next couple of plagues, of course, become boils on humans and on animals. And of course, another of the Egyptian gods was the bull. This was something that was worshipped commonly. The Apis bull, as it was called, was worshipped because of its power of fertility, and cattle generally were regarded as having a kind of semi-divine character. They didn't treat them like sacred cows like you might find under Hinduism, at least traditionally in India, but it was nevertheless an idea that was associated with this kind of cattle having a sort of divine or special or sacred status. And now we find the cattle are being destroyed by the plagues. My point in all of this is simply to say that those who've looked at the plagues closely see that it's almost as if God is poking fun at the expense of these Egyptian deities. And this polytheistic pantheon of deities is being put very much on the ropes by the Exodus account and the plagues especially that come along. One of the most important deities of this pantheon in Egypt was called Re, R-E. And again, this particular image shows a pharaoh with a head of a falcon. Re was pictured often as a falcon.
The practice you are about to learn is almost never described publicly.
A bird. By the way, notice the headdress of the pharaoh there. It's wearing the two, the white and the red crown. You see, is very common. But this particular image is meant to highlight the notion of Re as the sun god. And the pharaoh was probably understood as being closer to Re than any other of the gods of ancient Egypt. And so Pharaoh was originally sometimes viewed as the embodiment of Re. Later on was called the son of Re. But there was this close connection somehow or other in the Egyptian understanding of things between the pharaoh and this falcon deity.
So pretty much it was a sun god, and he's pronouncing it Re, but you had that deity of Amun-Ra, which was the main deity of Egypt, which was pretty much the worship of the sun. And he's going to go into the story, behind this whole sun god, and you're going to see the simplicity, of the heathen, he's going to go into these things. If also, if a brother could put let's get Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verses 1 through 5. But yeah, we let it play.
There was a mythology connected with Re, such that the sun god Re would shine during the daytime and then go down into the nether world at night. And so some of the expressions or artistry that pictured this, such as this one, would show Re now on a kind of boat, a bark, in the nether world. And he's got two deities in front of and back of him. You see the falcon head there once again. But part of what's going on, part of the Egyptian mythology, was that every night Re would go into the netherworld and fight a great battle with a snake god. And the snake god would try his best to prevent Re from making it to morning and rising again. So the Egyptians went to bed every night with a little anxiety. We sometimes talk kind of jovially, well, is the sun going to rise tomorrow, and it's like one of those things that's just a given. We don't worry too much about it. They did worry about it because it was always possible that Re might lose that wrestling match sometime and they'd wake up and there'd be no sun. And so this was part of the Pharaoh's duty. He was associated with Re, and when the sun rose in the morning, the Pharaoh himself had a very early morning kind of worship service in which he would stand out there, and as the sun rose, people were supposed to say, "Thank you, Pharaoh. That's great. You came through for us again." And the Pharaoh would happily take credit for that. That's why in the Exodus story, we find that Moses occasionally would confront Pharaoh early in the morning, because Pharaoh would be out there once again doing his morning routine to get the sun to rise, and it was at that moment that Moses would come and confront him with threats of coming plagues and that sort of thing.
So you see how the Lord was pretty much just interrupting the praise and the worship, of these heathens and their deity, man, these Egyptians. Now they would had a myth that because the sun sets, and it rises, and their myth behind it was that the sun went to the underworld because it would go down, and it would, because if you look at the sunset, the sun just keep going down and it'll disappear, then it'll be night. So they looked at it as the sun actually going to an underworld, which, going back to this whole hell thing that Jake with fringes on is bringing out. So they would say the sun, was going into the underworld, and that it would have to fight, to come back up in the morning. And it was the Pharaoh, that was associated with the sunrise. These pharaohs will worship as deities, man. And that's why Esau, Edom, is known as the modern day Pharaoh because he got this God complex. He wants to be worshipped as if he is. Okay. But what Moses, all right, will come and confront, all right, the Pharaoh, you know, early in the morning, okay, interrupting his praise. Just says, hey, we're doing the same thing, man. We're an interruption to Esau's praise in the earth, man. While everyone else is praising, you know, Esau, all right, for this current society and the convenience and technology. Like, nah, we accusing this man to his face, and we telling him what the Lord is about to do, just like Moses was telling him, all right, what the Lord was about to do, man. Okay, so let's get these, and then we'll let it play some more. Okay. So like, all right. So this is from the brother GMS praise always hope for elect. All right. This is Second Ezra 15:11. It said, "But I will bring them." All right, and them is the elect with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and it's going to be through Yahweh Shai. All right, it's the deliverance. Okay. Just as Yahweh Shai had a part in their first deliverance in Egypt. Okay, so this one is going to be way more magnified. Okay, and it says, and smite Egypt, okay, with plagues as before, and would destroy all the land thereof, because the ultimate plague this time is going to be the missiles. Last time, all right, it was the killing of the firstborn, and ultimately Pharaoh's army drowned. Okay, this time the Lord is going to drown this place with missiles. Okay, that's why it's going to be what? A lake of fire. Okay, you see, he's going to play Egypt as before. But see, the things that people love and worship, the Most High is going to make a mockery of those things, man. And this time, okay, we're going to expound on it a little bit. Now, verse 12, when it says, Egypt shall mourn, all right, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plagues and the punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. Okay, the Lord's finna really wreak havoc in the earth, and it's gonna be an emphasis on this spiritual Egypt, which is America, man. And it's gonna be mockery made, man, to where hey, they gonna know it's the Most High directly getting at them, man. Okay, this is GMS. Pray always hope for elect. Wisdom of Solomon 17:1. It says, "For great are thy judgment, and cannot be expressed. Therefore, unnurtured souls have erred." Okay. Verse 2. And it says, "For when unrighteous men, okay, thought to oppress the holy nation," and it said, there's a bag up and make the point. It said, "For great are thy judgments and cannot be expressed." Because as we speak these things and we, know what's going to happen, like when it happens, it's still going to be a wow factor to it, man. Of what the Lord is finna do, okay, through his judgments. It says, "For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fettered with the bonds of a long night," all right, lay their exile from the eternal providence, okay, for while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of unforgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions. And this was a plague of darkness, okay, because they worship their sunrise. Okay, that's why you even have, and when people in church celebrate Easter, what do they have? The sunrise service. Okay. They have the sunrise service that goes back to sun worship. Okay, when you had these Egyptians worshiping the sunrise, but one morning it didn't rise, man. Okay, and the Lord played them with a thick darkness, man. Okay, it says, "For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear, but noises as of waters falling down sounded about them, and visions appeared unto them with heavy countenance." Okay, they were seeing apparitions, demons, hearing things. The Lord was terrorizing these Egyptians, man. It says, no power of the fire might give them light, neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to lighten that horrible night. So it was a true blackout, man. Okay, a thick darkness. All right, and it was confounding what their worship of the sun. Like Pharaoh, they was like I say, they was giving Pharaoh credit for the worship of the sun. Okay, for the rising of the sun. All right, but now the Lord shows, no, I controlled it. There's me. Okay, so he was mocking, all right, these Egyptians, man. And what do you think he's going to do to Esau, Edom in this time, man? Okay.
It also may be behind the description of the killing of the firstborn in Egypt, because you may remember it took place right at midnight. And midnight was the moment when this wrestling match was supposed to take place. And so the very fact that that moment is chosen may have been, at least in some measure, another indication that Ray lost the battle, and that the firstborn dying throughout Egypt was going to be some great evidence of the fact that this great calamity represented a failure on the part of Ray. It also may be behind that plague of darkness when the sun will not shine. You see, all of that may have been poking fun, especially at this particular god. This remains somewhat speculative, but at least there's some indication of it. I think my favorite Egyptian goddess is named Nut, N-U-T. The Egyptians had a cosmology not unlike the Mesopotamians. They understood that there was a netherworld below them. There was a great dome sort of thing, what was called a firmament, an expanse above them. It was semi-solid. And for the Egyptians, that dome above them was actually the goddess Nut. And this is one very typical example of the artistry that depicted that. If you see what's going on, you see two legs on one end, arms and head on the other, and a very long, strange body there. This gal did not have much of a figure, but she was the one who stretched herself out and protected the world that was beneath her, largely the Egyptian world. And then above her, of course, are the stars, which would be, in a sense, visible through her. So you have this notion of a protective deity there that makes up the kind of outer reaches of the sky and so on.
With Flock Freight's shared truckloads, your goods move on a single truck, driven by a single driver all the way to their destination, 99.9% damage-free.
The legendary founder of Egypt, the first uniter of the Egyptian world, north and south, was a guy by the name of Narmer, N-A-R-M-E-R. This is very, very round numbers, sometime around 3,000. The earliest artifact that
there was a point on that. All right. So I want to get a few precepts. Just get a few precepts. Okay. And the Lord will, he will often do this, mock, the gods, okay, of the heathen, okay, just as he's going to do in this time. Now, matter of fact, let's go here. Okay, we know the account with, all right, dealing with Elijah, okay. All right, this is 1 Kings 18 and 17. Now, Ahab was a wicked king, okay, and he was into idolatry, all right, into Baal worship, dealing with his wife Jezebel, which I believe she was a Canaanite, the damn heathen, man. All right, now this is 1 Kings 18 and 17. It says, and it came to pass when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, art thou he that troubleth Israel? And this is how Elijah answered. He said, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, and that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed Balaam. Okay, now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the grove 400, which eat at Jezebel's table. Verse 20. So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel, and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be the Most High, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. And the people answer him not a word. So Elijah, like, bring everybody out, man. You know, bring out all Israel, bring out all the prophets of Baal. You know, let's put this to the test, man. And Elijah, all right, is cursing Jake out, man. What y'all gonna serve the Lord? Y'all gonna serve, all right, Baal. Okay. How long halt ye between two opinions? And see, we coming to a time now where, hey, we gotta choose a side. Everyone has to choose a side. Ain't no more in between. All right. And that C-HIP, all right, the MOTB, all right, is gonna be the indicator of what side is chosen, man. All right. First Kings 18 and 22 said, Then said Elijah unto the people, I only remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And it says, And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord, and the power that answereth by fire. Let him be the Most High. All right, let him be power. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. So hey, let's put it to the test. And we're in the time now where all these deities finna be put to the test. Everybody's philosophy, everybody, the nigga that think he deep at the barber shop. Okay, the deepest nigga at the family union, Eve with her podcast, you know, everybody's philosophy is finna be put to the test, man. We finna have to stand on what we believe on. Whatever power we serve, all right, whatever belief system that we obey is finna have to hold up for us in this day, man. Everybody belief system gonna have to hold up for them, man. You know? And Elijah was like, well, let's see. It says, and Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, choose ye 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for ye are many, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. Okay. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, not any that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them. You see that? He mocked them and said, Cry aloud, for he is a God. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or pre-adventure he sleepeth and must be awakened. So he pretty much roasting Jake. Roasting these prophets of Baal, man. Okay? You know how Jake is, man. He said he might be asleep. He might be on a long journey, man. Okay? Cry louder. You see? Making mockery, man, because Elijah knew, all right, that there was no power in Baal, man. It says, and they cried aloud and cut themselves after the manner with knives. These niggas were tripping. Jake was all on the altar with the, Jake was on the altar with the, with the sacrifice. All right, niggas started cutting themselves. Okay, and they cried aloud. All right, and cut themselves. And see, this is also what a lot of Jake is doing with these bugged out doctrines. They cutting themselves, man. Okay, you see? Oh man, that's heavy. But that's what a lot of these Jakes doing with these bugged out doctrines. They cutting themselves, man. Okay, they're making themselves look really bad out here, man. You know, especially Christians, man. All right, Christianity is just, oh goodness. It says, and they cried aloud and cut themselves after this manner with knives and lancets till blood gushed out upon them. tripping, leaking everywhere, man. You know, it says, and it came to pass when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice nor any answer, nor any that regarded. Okay, they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, when midday was past. So they was out there for hours, man, cutting themselves, prophesying, so-called prophesying. Finish. It said, and Elijah said unto all the people, come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. And that's a spirit, that's what, the men of the Lord been doing, repairing these broken down altars, man. Okay. Repairing. Okay. Because the altar was what? Was a place of sacrifice. Okay. And through these camps, the Lord is repairing his people, because these camps are likened what to those altars. What the scripture said, he will raise up altars in Egypt. There should be altars in Egypt, that will cry unto the Lord, man. There will be a token, that the Lord was dealing with his people. You see? Man, it's heavy. You see? Verse 31 says, Elijah took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be thy name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he made a trench about the altar as great as would contain 2 measures of seed, and he put the wood in order, and cut the bullock in pieces, and laid him on the wood, and said, fill 4 barrels with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. So Elijah had so much faith. He was like, matter of fact, let's put some water around it. Let's put water on the sacrifice. Okay? Which, that's a harder thing to do, to burn something that's, wet. Okay? So that's the spirit that the Lord had on Elijah, like, nah, put water on it. And see, the Lord's finna show out again. The Lord, you gotta think, like, how the spirit of Judah is, that, how Jake, especially they know they got it. Okay, what does Jake like to do? They like to be extra, man. Okay, so imagine what the Lord is finna do in this time, man. He gonna be extra. Okay, when he showcase that he is, man. Okay, especially against Esau, man. Okay, and it says, and he said, do it the second time, and they did the second time, like, do it again. All right, and he said, do it a third time, and they did the third time, and the water ran about the altar, and he filled the trench also with water. All right, and it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord, power of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel. See, we serve the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the power of our fathers, man. Okay, that God and Jesus madness that people just be throwing around. Christians don't serve the God of the Bible, man. This world doesn't know the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, they've been given fictional characters of Jesus Christ. Okay, and all these other deities that they're into, man, that these heathens worship, man. Okay, it said, let it be known this day that thou art the power in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. All right, and see, he's gonna, the Lord, all right, when he fulfills prophecy, that's gonna validate his men that been speaking these things, man. We're going to be validated by the fulfillment of prophecy. That's why scripture say, then shall be known who are my chosen. Okay, it said, let it be known this day that thou art a power in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord Yahweh. All right, power, that thou hast turned their heart, and says, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. All right, because the scripture say they should be willing in the day of his power, man. Okay, it said, then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice and the wood and the stones and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. Okay, so this was a different type of fire, man. It was just evaporating water, okay, engulfing the sacrifice. Okay, and you're gonna have, in that day, in these times we're coming into, man, it's gonna be people converted when they see this power, man. Some Jake just gonna be through regardless, like they just here to be destroyed, and nothing can make them believe, man. Hey, well, some Jake, hey, when they start seeing these different things happen, man, some of our people are gonna be willing in that day. Okay, it said, then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice and the wood and the stones and the dust, and looked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and they said, the Lord, all right, he is the power. The Lord, he is the power. Okay, and the Most High finna showcase that he is again. Okay, this is the time that we you guys, man, because it just hit me like the Lord finna show like he is, like what is he finna do? You see, because you see this earth, everybody out of pocket, everybody done got sideways, everybody proud, everybody lost, in this warped reality, so what is the Lord finna do, man, to really showcase that he is, man? Man. All right, verse 41 says, and Elijah says to Ahab, verse 40 says, and Elijah said unto them, take the prophets of Baal, let none of them escape. And they took them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishon and slew them there. And Elijah said unto Ahab, get thee up, eat and drink, for this is a sound of abundance. All right, this is a sound of abundance of rain. Okay, so Ahab went up to eat and drink. And Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he cast himself down upon the earth and put his face between his knees. And that was the point. All right, the prophets of Baal was slew. Okay, which in today, all right, Esau Edom, he's going to be confounded. All right, and he's going to go into captivity, and eventually he's going to be slew. All right, after that 1,000 years, man. Okay. But ultimately, he's finna be confounded. All these heathens finna be confounded because these heathens are still deep into their idol worship, man. Okay, Hinduism, voodoo, okay, all these different, Allah, So let's get this, man. We'll end it here. All right. Hey, that was a hell of a society, man. About homeless, homeless people choice. I'm gonna ask you $5. Then you got $8 for Chick-fil-A. Like, now you gonna name the restaurant too? This is a proud ass society, man. But the Lord finna all right showcase, man. All right, this is Isaiah 40, 45 and 14 said, thus said the Lord, the labor of Egypt and the merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabaeans, men of stature, shall come over unto thee. All right, this is speaking of what these Hamites, man. Okay, but it's just symbolic of the heathen altogether, the spirit they're going to be in. Okay, and it says, and they shall be thine, which they're going to be our possession. Okay, this is after the Lord showcased their power, all right, through his men and ultimately through Yahweh Shai. Okay, that ultimate showcase of power. All right, and we come back right to the earth, man. It's gonna be known, like, damn, because none of these deities, none of these false gods that these heathens worship is going to show up in that day when they need them the most. Okay, it says, and they shall be thine. They shall come after thee in chains. They shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee in full subjection. they shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely the Most High is in thee, and there is none else. All right, there is no power. So, like, look, ain't no power in these other guys. The power is in y'all, you know, because they gonna see their standard lifted. They're gonna see, you know, us delivered. Okay, they're gonna see how Shai destroy the militaries of the earth. Okay, so when we come back down, it's gonna be like, look, you know, the power in y'all, we, you know, ain't no other guys. Okay, it's gonna be known. All right, verse 15 said, verily thou art a power that hideth thyself, O power of Israel, the Savior. Okay, because it's gonna be like, man, he hid himself this long, you know, because the heathen know us, the heathen only know us now from what? Being the bottom nation. Okay, especially with Esau's propaganda, you know, which he is that, you know, because you got Jake that they it's a lot of Jake that fulfill, you know, the stereotypes that Esau put out there. Okay, but you know, Esau exaggeration, he makes it seem like, you know, this is the whole nation, the condition of the whole nation. Okay, well, nah, this when the Lord's finna show like, nah, these my people. Okay, verse 16 said, they shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to confusion together. There are makers, okay, of idols. They're gonna be ashamed and confounded, meaning disappointed. The Lord finna confound, okay, the idols of this society, man. Okay, what the scripture say, Marduk is confounded, which was, that was one of the main deities of ancient Babylon, you know, Neo-Babylonian Empire, and also the Neo-Assyrian Empire as well was Marduk. Okay, but all these things are going to be confounded. Okay, it says, but Israel shall be saved in the Lord Yahweh Bashem Al-Shai with the everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. Okay, you see, so this is how this thing finna play out, man. Okay, the Lord is finna make, all right, a mockery, you know, the way he judged this earth, man. You know, the Lord's finna make mockery, and it's gonna be known that, hey, it's somebody intentionally judging the earth in this fashion, man. Okay, you'll know it's not random. All right, so that was the point. Just want to bring that out. You know, Lord will, you brothers. All right, and you few sisters were edified. Till next time, I say shalom, Kwam Yashala, Abba Babal, DTA soon, shalom.